something that we could make here, $700 a month. Especially selling banana chips for your dad.
Yeah, it's hard.
So that's gonna be a stressful thing.
I know, that's why we need to talk about it with my parents.
I'm looking at Tata and James, trying to figure out which one of them actually has the brain in their relationship, because they've gone to Indonesia and have set themselves up to fail. Let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We're here to discuss James and Tata in the latest episode of 90 Day Fiancé the Other Way. Just here to do a quick recap of them in the latest episode. So before we jump into that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, let's just jump right in. James is already in Indonesia. They can't get their hands off of each other and they don't plan on it. So they're planning to stay at a hotel for like a few days. You know, because they can't do the deed in her parents' house. I'm sure they could hear everything. But before they can get to those activities, they do have to go see her family. That's their journey, and he clearly has luggage with him, and she decides that the best mode of transportation is for him to be in some sort of carriage. There were plenty of cars in that scene, so that was certainly a choice. And he's been to Indonesia once before when he asked for her hand in marriage, but they weren't at her hometown. So this visit is extra important because he actually gets to see where she grew up. They arrive, and I told you guys that I love the home, the outside of it. And he's like, this looks like the Indonesian White House. Okay, James. And Tata jokes that the house is under construction and it's never ending because her dad just is always finding something to fix up. But they go in, they're greeted by her parents. They look so happy to see him. The dad especially, he just kept rubbing James's leg. It was very sweet. And they go and give him a tour of the house, and it must be bigger than it looks because James was winded, okay? And they lead him to this room. Oh, James had made a comment that the house was just so big, and the dad is like, well, I have 6 kids, and if I have a room for them, they'll visit, which I thought was, again, really, really sweet. But then he guides them to this room, and he's like, it's not done. We have to work on it, but this is James' room. To be considered to this degree, I think is so touching. And James doesn't really see the sentiment in this. His brain immediately goes to, wow, this is rough. I can't stay here. It looks like a prison.
There's nothing done in this room. It looks like I'm stepping into a prison. Right now, I would never be able to sleep, not in this room.
And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's panicking because he knows that he's moving and that he'll need a place to stay. But her parents don't know that. Maybe they would have been better prepared if they were given a warning. For the most part, Tata's dad is leading this tour. Then her mother decides to speak up and she's like, it's unfortunate that we can't communicate because you didn't learn the language. And her dad turns to him and he's like, yeah, remember that you promised that you would learn? And James is like, yeah, I have to get on it. And the dad was like, that was 5 years ago. And I agree. Like, you have made zero effort. The only thing that he has said fully is, I don't know how to speak Indonesian. And maybe like a word or two. But he hasn't really like delve into it. And I would be looking at my spouse away if they didn't take the initiative to learn my language. Like, if this is the only way that you can communicate with my parents, that's important. And James is stunned that her parents are actually holding him accountable for the promises that he made. Interesting. Grow up. We also get a scene of them at the hotel, and James is like, kind of bragging, kind of annoyed that he's sleep deprived. And the reason he's sleep deprived is that Tata has been annoying him. Annoying is their code word for schmex time. And I'm like, okay, you literally said you wanted the hotel for this reason. Like, James is just going to be complaining the whole time. And let me tell you, Tata's going to give you actual things to complain about. This is the least of your worries. The complaining doesn't end, and you can already tell that this move It's just a bad idea. He doesn't want to adapt to their ways. A bidet is huge. Everyone has them over there. They don't really use toilet paper. And when he went to the bathroom, he was upset that like his socks kept getting wet. And it's because Tata apparently makes a mess when she cleans herself. Anyway, the next scene is of them sock shopping because apparently, I don't know how many socks he brought on this trip, but he was pissed that his got wet. Okay, so they're sock shopping, and the next stop is to go and help her parents with the banana chips. You guys remember she had already told him that when you help her family out with labor for the banana chips, they don't pay family. However, James is like, yeah, about that, we need to speak to them about it. And Tata's like, yeah, I mean, well, sure, we'll talk about it. She's not being truthful. This is going to cause so much conflict with her family. And it's obvious that that's not going to be an actual option because she keeps diverting to the weak-ass plan that they're going to resell her parents' chips. And she's like, yeah, you know, it's going to be hard, but we can do it. And he's like, you know, we're on a budget right now, and on top of everything, we have to pay $700 a month for our car back home. Is that normal? $700 for your car. He says that it's because of his car note and also because they got in an accident, so he has to pay that off. And he tried to sell the car and it didn't work out. So you're on a fixed income. Almost 1,000 of it guaranteed is being gone a month for your bills that you left in the US. Why is you here? He asks Tata, do you think that we'll be able to make that with banana chips? And she's like, it'll be really hard. James, that is a no. You guys are playing. Tata is playing in your face, and you're an idiot.
We are in a really bad spot. Is that even something that we could make here? $700 a month? Especially selling banana chips for your dad.
Yeah, it's hard.
So that's going to be a stressful thing.
I know, that's why we need to talk about it with my parents.
You can tell that Tata has done zero math. She's just like, I want to go home. Maybe this will work. But this is huge, and it's affecting your entire spouse's life. And you're just like, we'll figure it out. It doesn't matter. Like, money isn't real. Like, money isn't a necessity. They move there with zero plans. Every time he tries to have a conversation about the logistics, she just looks so inconvenienced. She just wants to stay there, and James is like, we cannot stay under your parents' roof and not bring money in. It's like I've been saying the entire time. He should have stayed his behind home, stayed in his family business where he is getting paid. Let her come back home to Indonesia. Stay for a few months. When you're tired, come back. Because this plan is gonna blow up in their faces, and they still haven't told her family that they're just going to crash their place. I know that money conversations can be difficult, they can be uncomfortable, but they're important to have, and I feel like that's what leads to most divorces. Why bring this kind of stress to your relationship? Also, why burden your family with your adult problems? And don't come for me in the comments, but she is the epitome of the youngest child. Because she's under the impression that all of her problems are going to go away when she tells mommy and daddy. So she wants to tell them that same night that they're planning to move. James is against it because 1, he doesn't like confrontation. 2, he just got there, so he's like, let's wait at least 48 hours, I think, something like that. And I think that they should have told her parents before they bought the flight to come here and barge into their place. It should have happened a long time ago. But since it hasn't, it's going to be a thing. So before you open the can of worms, maybe let him get a good night's rest. At this point, you already waited. That's my opinion. But she's like, no, we're going to tell them tonight. And the truth really comes out in their confessional when he's like, I honestly don't want to tell them because I need a second to like accept that this is my reality. And she's like, well, we're going to move here. I don't know, you guys. I don't think that they're gonna stay in Indonesia. It's not happening. But it's gonna be rough. And next week, the scene that I've been waiting for happens. So when they teased this season, there was a clip of her basically crying at her mother's feet, begging her for forgiveness, and her dad was like standing over her, being like, ask her for forgiveness. And James was just like, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. It looks intense. It looks bonkers. It looks like all the things. I can't wait to watch that. Let me know how you guys are feeling about these two. We've had a few episodes now. What's your take on them? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.